Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Welcome to episode 233 of the official Batman on Film podcast. No, your ears do not deceive you. This is senior contributor Javi Trujillo, and I'm taking over the reins from old Boudin pockets for this very special episode. And of course, I'm not alone. Joining me is a man who not only shares a birthday with Batman Returns, but he's been sharing writing reviews with me of the hit Black Label series, The Batman First Night, Trey Jackson. How we doing, Trey?
I'm good. I'm doing good, Javi. I forget about the Batman Returns birthday because it's a Christmas movie. I never associated the summertime birthday season, but there you go.
You didn't go see it on your birthday that year?
No, I was, let's see, would have been 6 years old. That wasn't going to happen. Not
yeah,
my mom.
Probably.
House, no.
Not. Your mom wasn't one of the ones who wrote in because, McDonald's was selling penguin toys and he had that nasty goo come out of his mouth?
No, she probably just saw it and decided, I'm keeping my son far away from that. And we'll wait until he's old enough to go seek it out for himself.
Yeah, I feel like my family took us all to see the first one, but when it came to Returns, it was just me, and then my brother came, and my mom was like, "I don't know about this." So,
yeah. For me, it was Forever that jump-started everything. I was in the animated series, but then Forever was the first big movie event that I can remember.
Nice. So you did get to live through a little bit of Batmania.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, 2008. Who could forget that?
Well, yeah. That's iconic. But the two of us aren't alone. He may have taken a step back just this once, but he doesn't trust me with the keys to the Batmobile. So riding shotgun is the wearer of purple gloves, the herald of Hasbullah, Jersey's favorite son, Peter R. Verra. What meats did you smoke this weekend, buddy?
I didn't smoke. I grilled some drumsticks. That's all I did this weekend. But no
marinade, nothing special.
I trust you with the Batmobile. Yeah, that's why. But it's like I'm riding sidecar. I don't mind like hanging out and just, I trust you enough to that. I don't think we're gonna get on a head-on collision. like we're in the same car here.
Do you trust me with the Keaton Batmobile, or am I just allowed to drive the Clooney one?
You could drive any of them except for the Keaton car. You have to at least ask for permission.
Okay.
The Keaton car, but you could drive. You could do whatever you want with the Tumbler. I don't care what the hell you do with that thing.
Yeah, we're totally safe in that.
Yeah, dude, that thing is such a beast.
You could go. I'm laughing and talking, so somebody's probably pissed off right now. Yeah, I was just saying you could just run through a wall with that thing.
Have you seen it in person at all, ever?
The Tumbler, no.
Yeah.
It's the only one I have. Yeah, when I went to East Coast Comic Con back when that was a thing, they had the first car, the Tumbler, and the 66 car on display. So yeah, I have seen it.
They had a DC pop-up booth back in, I don't know, it was when Superman turned 80 years old. So I can't math right now. But so 6-7 years ago.
Sounds about right.
And at this booth, they had the Forever car. I think it was the Justice League version of Batflex Batmobile. It had the huge,
too much like a tank.
it had the huge cannon. They had the Bat bike from Batman and Robin, the Redbird or whatever he called it.
Yeah, the Redbird. I like that.
Batgirl cycle, and they had the Tumbler. And the guy from WB that was like in charge of everything, like if a special person showed up, he would like get in and fire it up for everybody. And
Wow.
I mean,
That's cool.
man, the fumes from that car when it would start up,
Fumes in that place.
they were overpowering.
That Batgirl Batcycle action figure is actually one I still don't have in my collection. I've been on
The OG one. Did McFarlane make? He didn't make a cycle for that though, did he?
No,
He hasn't done any vehicles
he
from
will.
that, right?
I'd give him like 2.5 years and before he does it. It'll probably happen a lot sooner, but yeah, I'll give him time.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he comes up with. I like his vehicles, superpowers and all.
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I have it. No, I could take that back. I was going to say I didn't have any, but I have the White Knight Bat Cycle.
Yeah, that's cool. I have that one, and I have the one from the Flash. So they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, they are pretty. They are pretty similar. Yeah. So before we get on to the main event, I've got a tangent. We here at BOF love our tangents. So we're recording this on June 9th, 2024, which marks the 7th anniversary of the passing of the Bright Knight himself, Adam West. Gentlemen, did you do anything today to mark the occasion? Did you watch an episode, raise a glass of orange juice, do the Pat Tuesday?
No, I did not. No.
No, I'm afraid I haven't. Not yet. There's still time, though. Think about
That's
it.
right.
Thank you for reminding me.
There you go. I watched the was it Surf's Up, Joker's Under episode just because it's pretty wacky. I mean, you've got Gordon and
classic.
Gordon and O'Hara, disguised as beach bums undercover.
It's probably one of the episodes I actually watched the least because it's so insane.
Yeah.
I'm a big season 1 guy.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if you want just a quick morsel of Adam West, like that's the go-to, because season 3 was all just self-contained episodes.
Okay.
Versus 1 and 2, it was like part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
So if I only got time for something short, I go to season 3. But
they're all short. I love them though. That's with you, though.
They were getting real creative with the budget in season 3. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would love to see a Batman TV show again.
I mean, we're kind of getting one. It's just animated, and then we have the Penguin.
No, live Penguin, but more along the lines of Penguin live action. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if anything, I mean, it's not a high bar to cross when you look at like Gotham. So
I feel like the closest we got was like Titans season 2. That was basically like Gotham, right?
Even if the Penguin is not good, which I can't imagine a world where it isn't. Like, even if it's not good, it's still going to be a million times better than Gotham. So,
well, dude, preaching to the, how much I despise that thing.
Yeah,
Gotham might be the only thing Batman that I actually universally like hate. Like, to be brutally honest, like it may be the only Batman thing. Like, even though like we're talking about a book I don't like, I can't say that I hate this book, right?
Yeah,
I just can't. Gotham, I can literally, I hate this thing. The writer Zay Chen, like I have questions.
Well, but Gotham, the show, brought us straight out of Gotham, which is, one of the best podcasts around.
Actually, so, it was more of let me see how much I can torture Holzman continuously. That's really what
he can take it.
Yeah, the green room was like, let's see how far we can push Holzman here.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I made it a year into that show, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I did 10 years of Smallville. I did my time.
I didn't even enjoy Smallville. I'm on the
I can't suffer any more of this show. Like it wasn't fun.
I didn't even finish season 1. I couldn't even make it that far.
It was oh my god. By the time I got to season 2, I checked out early season 2 before I actually rewatched everything for the final season.
Oh,
when I was watching, there were like points in time that I forget what it was pre-COVID, if I'm not mistaken. Like I was watching like a solid, like I sat down and maybe watched Gotham for like 2 hours. Like, that's how insane it was. I was like, what is going on? This is horrible. But it's like, couldn't take my eyes off it. It was just, why? Ryan Reynolds. Why?
Where does Adam West fall in your fandom? Is he someone you guys enjoy, or every now and then does he have a special place in like because of like kid nostalgia.
He made me a Batman fan,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
he made my kids Batman fans too. I made sure that they those collected editions of Batman 66 comics.
Yeah.
Those are read very frequently in our house, and the show still gets in the rotation. So yeah, I never really had a period where I didn't like him. I mean, there was, you can admit, okay, this isn't the best version of Batman that there is, but he's got his place and he was very important. So yeah, I've always loved him, very fond of him. Good memories of Adam West Bat.
I've had like an interesting relationship with the 66 in general. There were like times I didn't like it because I thought it was too goofy. Then I've kind of went back and I've refound it and loved it and kind of understand it. Like I said, I prefer the earlier seasons. But there's no doubt like his performance and what he brought to Batman, kind of how he portrayed Bruce Wayne, just at the time, like that was Batman. And for a lot of people, that still is Batman. His
Yeah.
Batman amongst Batman fans is, I would say, within the top 3 all-time favorites. I think. Ooh, I hit my own mic there. But I think it always ends up being Keaton, West, and then I guess and Bale for the most part up there. I feel like the top 3, and there's always a battle there. I'm sure there'll be a loud, annoying group that'll scream Affleck for a while. Well, I love Affleck, but I mean, not having a solo kind of holds him back a little bit.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation without Adam West. I mean,
yeah, I mean that show.
How much longer does the character go without that?
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, no, that show is a bit. It when it died, it wasn't fun. But when it was going and hot, and when it was first thing, you're just, man, it must have been something to be in the '60s. Batmania in the '60s would have been something to like really experience. I would imagine I would be like the Batman version of the late great Bill Walton. That's what I would envision. Batman Bill Walton. That's me.
There was the Batboat for the movie was made here in Austin, so they had
love that toy by McFarlane, by the way.
Part of the lore, I guess, is they had to have the movie premiere here because they built the Batboat here. That was one of the stipulations. So there's a lot of photos that circulated around when West passed of that day, of like it was him and Romero and Burgess Meredith. I don't remember if Burt Ward was there or Lee Merriweather was there, but they all came down, like the whole like ticker tape parade, sitting in convertibles, waving at fans, like just crowded streets. And it wasn't just them like as people, they were as the characters. They were in full costume for this premiere, which it just blows my mind that. And my dad remembers because they had just moved here when that happened. So that he has that memory of that. And that was kind of like, I think, his intro and where he became a Batman fan and then passed it on to me. But like, I mean, I hate to admit it, but I went through that whole period when I was a teenager where it's like, that's not the real Batman. Michael Keaton's the real Batman.
I think that's just part of being a Batman fan, though. I think we all go through that. Like it's a weird kind of like, is it like we go through our Batman goth phase? We're like, no, we're just dark.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've come around on him, in recent years. I mean, even before he passed. So, because that was something that I watched a lot in reruns as a kid, like that old TV show would play on one of the non-major networks on like Saturdays and stuff. And we had the movie on VHS. So those were good too.
Those 2 theatrical releases they did for the DC animated, I love those 2 movies. I think those
are so good. Yeah,
I was so happy that he was able to record both of them before his passing. So
yeah,
that was, and I just see that to experience that, to be able to say I saw Adam West on the big screen in a new movie, like as a Batman fan, even though it's animated, it's still kind of cool,
Yeah,
it's a fun experience.
And they've played his original movie here a few times. Like in the summertime, they do like a kids club screening,
It's in
and they have
rotation.
they have like a free movie every week, and so I've taken my kids to see
You
it
bring your
on
own
the big
popcorn?
screen.
That's
No,
awesome.
that's like $8 all you can eat popcorn. So
Oh, it's awesome. I'm there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and they bring it to you. You don't have to get up during the movie to like
Oh,
go get it
wow.
refilled. So
This sounds
it's
like a
amazing.
steal.
Yeah,
This is like the
but-
last great deal in the world.
But I mean, we've come so far now. From now, it's on Blu-ray in HD, and McFarlane's making like, as far as I know, he's not stopping making figures. Like he's
No,
still
he's
pulling
adapting
out
the
creative
comic line
ways
now.
to do, new figures. And
If there's one thing that man can do, it's repaint a figure.
Yes. I'm waiting for the Jokerized versions of Adam West and Burt Ward to come out, because we're getting
That
there.
would have been a better idea than the waxed Robin.
Oh yeah, that was
I don't know what they were thinking with that one.
that choices were made.
Yeah. I wonder how many of these sold. Very curious.
I see them on the shelves, and then the next time I go, they're gone. So
Somebody's buying them.
I mean, Egghead. Sorry, Ryan, but Egghead stood on the shelves a little bit longer than
Oh man,
figures I saw.
I didn't buy any. I just bought like the main villains. I didn't buy Egghead or King Tut or anything like that. As much as like I love the King Tut episodes, like they're actually some of my favorites. I'd pass them.
Yeah. All right. Well, the real reason we're here is it's the 85th anniversary of Batman this year. And one thing marking that occasion was the release of a new Prestige Plus Black Label miniseries, The Batman First Night. The first issue of 3 dropped March 5th, 2024, and it concluded May 21st. So Trey wound up grading the series as an A, an A-, and finally a B. I skewed more positive, with A pluses across the board for all 3. Peter, on the other hand, was not frolicking about.
No,
and let's
I'm
just say
against spending $8 for this book, whatever it costs.
he didn't enjoy it as much for
No.
reasons I'm sure we're about to get into. But first up, what did you really love about this, Trey? What pulled you into the world of the comic and made you grade it so highly?
Well, for one, the art style is just fantastic. I thought it was an excellent looking book all throughout. I mean, you got to love a good Batman mystery story where you're trying to piece together who's at the core of this, and it's the fact that it is an homage to his earlier adventures where there aren't any like headliner villains present, makes it even more of a mystery because you just don't have any idea what's going on or who could be behind it. So it was really interesting to try and piece that together as you were reading. There was also, I thought, some really cool hints at some thematic material, especially in issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the people he meets in the book is a Rabbi Cohen, I think is his name. And the book takes place in 1939. And as we all know, this is leading up to World War II. Jewish people are being basically hunted down and persecuted at this point. So for Batman to meet someone who is withstanding an ongoing tragedy around him, but still doing his best to do the right thing and bring positivity to his neighborhood, I thought that was a really cool juxtaposition. So like here, this is basically what Batman aspires to be, someone doing this in the midst of, a significant tragedy, who's just going to do the right thing no matter how hard it is. And they kind of hinted at that by including the rabbi. They hinted at that's the kind of character angle they were going for with Batman. They also they included some fun nods to 1939 stuff going on. They included a marquee of the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's also
Jimmy
a movie. That's also a movie about a guy who's facing a corrupt system, and he's just sticking it out and doing the right thing, even though he has no idea if it's going to work out. As far as he knows, it's hopeless. So that was another like, okay, they're really planting some seeds thematically about who Batman is. He just does the right thing, even though it appears hopeless, because it's the right thing to do. And I thought that was just to see all that in the first issue. I was like, okay, they could be doing something pretty special here, and that got me really excited to read the rest of it. So that was what jumped out at me about the first issue. What about you, Javi?
Well, we should point out that the art was done by Mike Perkins and colors by Mike Spicer.
Mhm.
And it was written by Superman legend Dan Jurgens, who hasn't
Yes.
done a lot of Batman stuff. But I mean, I'm a big fan of his, and I thought he just knocked it out of the park. And for me, it was pretty similar to what you were saying. Just the way that Jurgens like immerses you in the setting, the way just from the very beginning, where you open up the book and it's got all those different headlines that some mirror real life and some are reflecting the history of Batman from that first year of Detective Comics, mentioning the case of the Chemical Syndicate and a couple other things. And like, it was just a really unique way of getting you into this book and getting you into the headspace. Because comics back then were superficial compared to what we're used to today. They were very simple. Dialogue was really stilted. Art wasn't as intricate as what we're used to now. And what they did was kind of make a story in that setting, but by today's standards, but really made you feel the gravity of that world. And that's not something you necessarily get when you read like those original issues. They're not steeped in a lot of the political times of the era, unless you get to like the later covers where it's like buy war bonds and there's Batman and Superman,
Yeah.
waving a flag.
Not as much nuance in those.
Yeah. What was the most positive aspect for you? I know you weren't a fan, but what did you really
I
like?
actually dug. I'm with Trey on this. I dig the relationship with Batman and the Rabbi. I think at its core, and Trey spoke to this, is just that is Batman and who he essentially is, just looking out for the little guy. I think that's one of the. I have more bigger problems about like the story in general and the voice and Gordon particularly, and just things they did than necessarily. I have problems with the villain and stuff, but like I thought that the aspect of Batman with the Rabbi kind of humanized him, and just it was like, oh, this is kind of like the 1939 Leslie Tompkins in a way. Like I can see that this is kind of like the street level person that Batman can build off relationships. I'm at again, and you see it progress through the story with the pimp, right, or whatever the whore master, whatever you want to call him. Like Batman got him to look out for the Rabbi and the fire, and it all came. It's all connected. So like that was cool. You could see the network building and see Batman working his magic within the alleyways and back alleys of Gotham, and I thought that was actually very well done.
And that was the next thing I wanted to move into was how did you like the supporting cast in this? Because because of that time period, there's no Robin, there's no Alfred, obviously there's no Batgirl, there's not a million of the other characters, there's no Clown Hunter, there's no Ghost. What is this? It's not Ghost Killer. Ghostmaker. Yeah, there's none of that stuff. It's very pared down, just like the Michael Keaton movie was. Even more so because there's no Alfred.
Yeah, that's a big problem for me in general.
You brought up Commissioner Gordon. What did you not like about him, Pete?
It just kind of felt like Gordon was kind of loofy, and he was just kind of always there at the right time, and not really. He's like, "Oh, okay, hey, what's going on? Let me flip this switch." Or he's like, "Oh, what's going on here with the Batman? Let's figure this out." "Oh, Bruce Wayne, yeah, I was friends with his parents. Getting out of his old jalopy here, girlfriend." Like I don't like that take. I don't. It's it just seems too convenient. Like, okay, Commissioner Gordon. I was like, in 1939, what are you doing with the elite of Gotham, right? Like, I get it. You're the commissioner, but
I mean, he had to work with the framework, and that was established in the first issue.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. Like I kind of prefer. I prefer the if we're talking like takes on Gordon and you want to somehow relate it to the Waynes. I'm always of like I like the Goyer Begins ish of he's the cop there with the jack, the consoling of the young boy rather than I've been here from the beginning. I remember, that Wayne boy, he's whoa, what happened with him? Like it just I just. There's a lot of that I feel with the book. It's like, hey, Muggsy, Mimsy, let's go. The boss told us to get the Batman. It's just kind of like I hear it in like that kind of Looney Tune stuff, and that's like that's why I think like Gotham by Gaslight the movie worked for me because I can hear the music and I can hear that when I see it like this in a comic book, it doesn't work for me because I just my perception of that kind of like style. It gets very like I don't know stereotypical like Hollywood gangster.
So, Pete, would you like to see this in animation?
No.
To borrow for Ryan.
No. I don't even want a motion comic. Like, I'm done. I'm good.
Trey, how did you like Gordon in this?
I mean, he wasn't, I didn't have major problems with him. To be honest, I'm not sure that I should hold this against the book because it's an homage to a time period before Alfred and before Robin. So the book is really leaning on Gordon and the Rabbi to be those people that Batman can bounce stuff off of. But by the end of it, I was like, I'm more convinced than ever that Batman needs Alfred, and he at least needs Robin to be.
Oh God, this is music to my ears.
He needs more than just Gordon, who is friends with Bruce Wayne and kind of sort of semi-trusting of Batman. He needs someone who knows him more than that and better than that. By the end of it, Julie Madison kind of played that role. But yeah, I was like, no, there's a very big Alfred-shaped hole in this book.
Well, that's a DC Comics problem in general. That is a brand problem right now for Batman. No Alfred, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of weird for me because like Alfred is gone, but there's so many Black Label books and I don't know. Just for me, like I know he's dead, but he gets referenced so many times and I see him in so many other things that I don't really feel that loss because I've been rewatching the Batman cartoon. So Alfred's in that.
It's one of my only gripes with the Batman is that I especially because I like the relationship and what we got. I wish we had more.
Yeah, he's in World's Finest, which is in the past, and I mean, just any Black Label book, pretty much he's in there, in some shape or fashion. So he's gone, but it doesn't necessarily feel like he's gone. So I don't necessarily feel that absence. But I mean, I get what you're saying, and yeah, I thought a few times lately they were going to bring him back, like with Lazarus Island, but
they teased that right at the end of one of the Robin issues.
Yeah,
he'll be back sooner or later.
Lazarus Planet event. So I don't know. Maybe Failsafe will bring him back.
Oh my God! Please don't make Alfred a robot. I know you're digging that, right?
I mean, we already cut off his hand once upon a time, just like Batman.
Well, Batman doesn't have a. He's got a robot hand. He's a Skywalker
for now.
Well, one thing about this book specifically, though, this is very early in Batman's career, so it seems like there's even more of a need to have Alfred present for that. And I know that they made room for Alfred to come back because I think it was pretty early on in issue 1. He talked about having a butler who left.
Yeah, he did.
So if they ever
he's dead, he just makes it seem like he's gone, right?
Yeah. So if they ever revisit this story, they could bring him back like for later issues. But yeah, I was just reading and I was like, man, Bruce, he needs
even a flashback panel or something. I don't know.
Well, Julie even makes mention of just how the mansion is a disaster.
Yeah.
And then in issue, is it the end of 2 or the beginning of 3, where she walks in on him, there's no Alfred Deleter into the Batcave, but she just walks in because he's hurt and, leaves his.
I do like his little like jingle bell system when people are in the house. I thought that was cool. I'll give him props for that. That made me think of the Friday the 13th movie from '09. Jason had a similar setup, so I was into that.
Or just the Flash had that too in one
Yeah.
manner.
Mm.
Yeah,
In the kitchen scene, you can see all the bells up on the wall behind Keaton.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think that's we have a big mansion, rich servant kind of thing. But Trey, you brought up Julie Madison, who was one of the first love interests, if not the first love interest that we see with Bruce Wayne. And Peter, you had mentioned on another show that, we did see her once before in Batman and Robin, played by Elle Macpherson. And she was in the New 52 towards the end of Scott Snyder's run, where she was kind of a charity worker, or she did some kind of Habitat for Humanity thing or something where she was working with Bruce, who was
I'm a big fan of the non-villain love interests. Like, I don't get me wrong, Natalia and Selena are great, but Silver St. Cloud, Julie Madsen, like those women definitely have a place. Like, I kind of like seeing, Playboy Bruce Wayne or whatever it is, just kind of, just Mac Daddy Wayne and Batman. Like it's cool. I like it when he doesn't mix business with pleasure sometimes. So.
How did you like this starlet version of her?
Dude, I was dying. Mr. Wayne, what's wrong with our movie? And I was like, this sounds like Twitter. Like, Elon Musk, since you stopped doing this to Twitter, it's been crazy. And it's just like, dude, every woman in this book feels like Betty Boop to me. I just see them all walk around, just boop, 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 and I'm just like, what is going on here? It's kind of like they all remind me of like Carol Ferris in early Green Lantern comics, where she's like, "I'm going to trick Green Lantern into marrying me today."
Oh my god!
I'm like, what is happening here? I thought it was weird. I was like, how do these people just have access to Bruce Wayne? Like, you're funding our movie. What's going on here? It did kind of remind me of was it Dark Knight or someone when he's talking to Lucius and he's like, or he's talking to Michael Caine. He's like, the funds, they have to be some, it's just like, where's the money, Wayne?
Rises, because the orphanage.
That's it. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm mixing up my Nolans. Some Nolan that I am. Fraud, you phony,
fake fan.
Paul Herman's going to come take my car.
Yeah. I feel like Julie had a lot of the period style dialogue, especially in the first issue.
So much.
But I personally, I didn't mind it. Like, I grew up watching a lot of old movies. So
am I woke? Is that what it is? Am I just woke?
I never know, Pete.
I didn't mind her characterization, and I liked that they were reflecting the reality of the situation, where she had her co-star that she was dating, Air Bunnies dating, because he was in the closet, so she was like his beard of like pretending to have a relationship so he wouldn't get in trouble with what was going on in the day, and how if she became involved with Bruce, like she would have to like work it out with this other guy too, her friend. And I thought it brought an interesting wrinkle to everything. And like you, Pete, I like, as much as I love like a good Catwoman Bruce story, or Talia when she's not, full on villain against Batman, like seeing the Silver St. Clouds, who she doesn't get represented nearly enough, and having the Julie Madisons of, it's nice to have that balance.
Era, right? Like Silver St. Cloud, would you say that's
70s?
You say 70s, 80s? Like, because I feel like Aparo drew her great, right? Like, I mean, who could draw an hourglass figure than him?
I don't think he did. I think it was just it was all Rogers.
You think it was Rogers? Was it like that transition period?
Strange Apparitions was Marshall Rogers. So I don't think Aparo drew Silver St. Cloud, really.
Oh, we missed out on special
because during that time, I think he was still like Brave and the Bolding.
I think you're right. Yeah. God, your brain's good.
But that's where those Legends of the Dark Knight trades ended. It was like barely getting out of the Brave and the Bold stuff. Like, I don't know what happened with that line, but there's still so much.
And then Julie's very early,
and Brayfogle that they didn't get to. Yeah,
she's like a 50s era love interest. Is she really 40s even?
I think she was just 40s and then she was out.
Yeah.
I don't think she made it
You don't
past.
think she made it to the 50s? Okay.
I don't think she made it that far because by then it was full on Vicky Vale, who again, like, she had that. She was pretty big in the early '80s. Because I remember like there was a whole like Vicky and Alfred's daughter Julia and like Selena, like there's like who's going to be with Bruce Wayne and kind of thing. And then I feel like she fell off the map a little bit. But then when '89 came out, they tried to have this resurgence, and there was this whole thing about how he was going to reveal his identity to Vicky. And there was even like this cover, a Brayfogle cover of him unmasking in front of her in a hospital bed. And it was all
way
nothing.
More Silver Sing Cloud than she was Vicky Vale. Right? Just based on looks, right? I don't think Vicky wasn't blonde, was she?
No, Vicky was a redhead.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was kind of cut in the middle there between silver and red by being blonde, I guess. But I mean, even Vicky, like they tried to like make her a thing again, and it just kind of fell by the wayside. And then the less said about All-Star Batman and Robin, the better.
I wish you would finish that thing, to be honest. I'm dying to find out what happened to Black Canary.
I mean,
no one ever talks about that. Like, whatever happened to Black Canary?
Yeah. I mean, he's had the time. He's drawn a whole bunch of comics since then. So I don't know.
Trey didn't buy it. He bought this instead.
Yeah.
I'm not as eager to find out, but whatever.
It's goddamn Batman. That's where we got that line from. The goddamn Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, the goddamn Batman.
So speaking. No, go ahead, Trey.
Well, I'm thinking more about Julie in this book. She's supposed to be like the no nonsense, like serious person that gets into, Bruce's personal life. But that dialogue, I don't know about y'all. I could not help reading her dialogue in like an exaggerated, Marissa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny kind of voice. And that, it was kind of amusing. But later on, when they're having like serious conversations, it did make it a little hard for me to take as seriously as it's supposed to be taken. But yeah, she was definitely leaning into the 39 dialogue there.
But I think she's important because, you've got the law and order side of Gordon who's in that world and saying like, you should have a gun. And you've got the rabbi who's, on the run from the Nazis. So he's got, more of a different perspective than she does. She's more of the civilian, like it's around her, but she's not in it the same way that Gordon and the rabbi are. She's on the front lines. So to have like that third opinion and offer that perspective, because I think when you get to that speech in the third issue about whether or not he should have a gun, like I think she's a key component of reminding him of who he is and that talk about his parents and his dad about a gun hit home a lot, I think. Since Pete was bringing up the goddamn Batman, did this book need to be Black Label? And what did the format add to this story, do you think? Not just the format being like the size, the Prestige Plus, where it's the different page square, but like the more mature content, because it gets pretty bloody at times, and I do think we get some language in it. Did that work for the story? Did it make it feel too edgy for you? Or did it feel natural for the world we were in?
I like the format. I like the fact that they tried to push it and be a little edgy. I'm all for it. I just didn't like the story, but I appreciate all the efforts. I love the Black Label books, to be honest. Like a good Black Label book is very much a positive for me. I think it's cool to collect them. I like holding them in my hand. I like the oversight. It just kind of makes me feel like I'm reading more of a magazine, and it just feels good. It's weird. I guess I have big hands, but it feels nice to hold a big wide book in my hands.
I think the more important thing about it being Black Label is the creative freedom, not so much the permission to get really violent or use a lot of profanity, which, I mean, I guess the whole, plot point about bringing guys back from almost being dead and then turning them into, your little soldiers to go out and get destroyed. Some of that does get pretty violent, and you need a little bit more license to do that. But yeah, I think more than anything, it being Black Label just allows you to tell that self-contained story that doesn't have to account for, a lot of other stuff going on. So that was the more important part about it being Black Label to me.
Yeah, you're just free from crazy continuity things. You don't have to worry about like Jason Todd's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder, because some Black Label books have swearing and others have it edited out. Like, there's a lot of swearing in Batman Catwoman, but it's all edited out, like with, and so I'm wondering if the actual comic size plays into that. If it's printed like a regular comic, they're not allowed to swear because kids might mistake it. But if it's the bigger, more expensive Black Label books, they're allowed to push those boundaries when it comes to language because they don't expect you to give it to a kid. I'm not entirely sure, because you would think if it's Black Label, it's mature readers. You can get away with whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't know if a kid's gonna look at the covers and see this and want to pick it up, though, right? Like, I don't know. Like, is this like is this like something that a young reader would want to read, or would they want to read something more superhero-y, right? Like, I feel like this is definitely geared towards an audience in more ways than one. And I think the covers, like it's just, I don't know, just it's not like bright and sunny, and like it's where something like, if you compare like the covers of World's Finest, like Dan Mora, those things are bright, and
those
you
are very
Superman,
pop.
Batman in your face. It's action shots. Like, this is very stoic, kind of just the first cover of Batman in a pose, and on a white background. It doesn't really like pop out at me.
Not just any pose, like that origin story pose.
Yeah.
Well, and Batman has, on the covers, he's got like a semi monstrous, look to him, like the silhouette and everything. So yeah, I'm not sure that
they must have come up with so many covers for this.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm sure there were a ton of variants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it would occur
at least
to
2 or
a little
3
kid.
every issue.
Yeah.
Which is another reason to get the hardcover, because usually those reprint all the variant covers in the back, and that way, at least you can appreciate it in some fashion. Yeah, I'm curious too, just if it was like an editorial thing, and now maybe they're a little more loose with letting Black Label use language again, because I remember when Damned came out, like, that set the internet on fire, because we saw little Bruce, and that had to get edited for the digital versions and had to get edited for reprints and for the hardcover collection. And I think maybe they balked at being mature with such a prominent character, but they've done lots of mature Batman stuff before Batman Damned.
Remember, they pulled that Batgirl cover too. They thought that was too much.
Right. Yeah.
That's a recent thing.
Yeah.
Did either of you ever get the Batman Damned #1?
Yeah.
You got it?
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. All right. B-dubs, baby.
I've got the original floppies, if we call them that.
That's exactly what you call it, the original floppy.
And I got it when it was hard, except you just didn't see it.
The Bermejo floppy. That's what we're going to call it. He's not going to like
that. We kind of talked about this, but just to touch on it again, how did the time period work for you, particularly that so much of the real world events crept into the story and provided this backdrop of fear? Did you like also the low-tech approach of how Batman handled things without all the high-tech crime equipment that we have today?
It definitely posed more of an interesting challenge, so I did like that. And I mean, it's just fun to see people, talking on rotary phones and driving around in like classic cars like that. So I mentioned earlier that they planted some interesting seeds, like with the Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and with like the plight of the rabbi and Jewish people in general. I that was one thing that really got me interested. Is okay, how are they going to use those elements to kind of bring home the themes of the story? And they kind of did, but not as much as I thought they were going to. I don't know if that was your experience reading it, Javi, but it seemed like it kind of turned into a pretty straightforward, guys grabbing for power, corruption story, which it wasn't a bad story. It just seemed like that didn't pay off as much as I thought it was going to reading issue 1.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it now, it's knowing who the killer is. It didn't quite lean into the settings that we were given. He was a little more pedestrian,
Yeah.
I guess, but still very much tied into the Gotham of that era.
Yeah.
Like he firmly exists in that Gotham. But yeah, he wasn't quite the world mastermind that maybe the setting was letting you think was being involved with it.
Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor.
I thought Batman was still pretty high tech, at least for his time. Like I thought the Batcave, it gave me vibes of like Universal Frankenstein, like that lab. Like I could see Batman just kind of operate. He's always going to have more technology, right, than anyone in that time, whatever time period. So he's always, in my mind, Batman's always really high tech, even when he's low tech, because he's just he's out there with his experiments and stuff, and he's doing his thing. The time frame just none of it really worked for me at all. It just all just kind of made it I just couldn't connect with it. And that's really the best I could explain. It didn't create any buzz or connect with it for me. And usually I like gangster stuff, but this thing just does not vibe for me, whatever reason. Maybe it's just my overall vibe right now of DC Comics in general is very disappointing. Maybe that's it. I just can't enjoy something because I've been so beaten down for the last 2 years with bad comic books in general.
Well, yeah, and your opinions of it have surprised me because I listen to you guys on the monthly wrap up on the Batman Book Club, and I thought for sure this would be a shoo-in for you because there's no Zur-En-Arrh, there's no robot Batman. It's very gritty and down to earth, and it's all gangsters. And I kind of thought like, oh, Pete's gonna love this. And then when I heard you guys talk about it, it's like I don't understand this guy. Like I don't know how he likes Batman and Robin so much, and then this is hot garbage to him.
Yeah.
Well, one question I had about that for Pete: how much of it do you think would have changed if he had been in a traditional bat suit the whole time?
The bat suit's definitely a problem. Like I don't like the cowl at all. Like it's like I understand the importance of it historically and where it comes from. I just don't like it. The weird rounded. I think the action figure actually looks better than the art right now.
It does.
The cowl really does. It just the way that the ears just pop out so round. I never liked it. Like, I would take the long Kelly Jones ears over these ears if I had to pick a cowl style.
I thought it was weird. It seemed like by issue 3, the ears started rounding in more.
Yeah.
And that was because in issue 1 it was
very
more
devilish.
in issue 1 it was more the standard what you saw in his first appearance. But yeah, they turned into more that looked like actual horns.
If it was like something where he was like tinkering with it as the book went along, I could forgive it. But it just like that. Like I'm with Trey. Like the inconsistency was a little jarring.
They're very organic to like a real bat shape.
Yeah.
And
you think so? Like I don't think he looks more like a bat this way.
Like if you look at like a typical bat, like they have those bigger, more rounded ears, but we're so used to like the stylized straight up and down ears that's.
I always feel like bat ears have edges. Like when I think of Man Bat, I'm not thinking his ears. I feel like they kind of concave in.
Yeah.
Form like a I don't know, like a weird 3 almost sometimes.
Yeah, they're definitely more on the side of the head for an actual bat.
Yeah.
I really like this suit, but having
Okay.
said that, I like it in this context.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want this look to come back. I don't want this to be, the 2025 bat suit.
Mhm.
I like seeing it in this time period, but
I hate
the same thing with that belt, like that circle belt. If we're doing a
I
story
dig the belt. It's
in that
kinda
time
cool.
period,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's cool. But I wouldn't want to see the round belt buckle brought back for Dawn of DC or anything like that.
Because that's like that reminds me of like
Yeah.
like I could be like, oh, the origins of the Neil Adams pill belt, right? Like I could
Right.
see like where Batman would evolve the belt and like he would, but obviously the belt buckle has to change because he looks like he's from the great state of Texas with that belt buckle.
Because for me, with Batman, they're distinct eras, right?
Mhm.
And when you put Batman in a certain costume, you're calling attention to an era for a reason. Like when Tom King had after the wedding fell through, how Bruce went back to the year one costume for a little bit. Like there was a distinct reason for that. And like to me, it was a big deal when we got rid of the yellow oval and he went back to the just the
Mhm.
circle-less bat, because that was like, oh, okay, we're going for a year one look. That was new and interesting back then. And I feel like having this suit is cool if we're talking about this era. But like with the DC Rebirth suit, like I liked how Batman had the purple inside his cape is like an
I thought
accent.
that was
Like
more tolerable than the gloves.
I thought that was like a nice callback to the old suit, but I don't think current Batman should be running around in purple
I
gloves.
like when Batman's gloves are almost more like a gauntlet and they have scallops, right? I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the proper term for them. Like even
No,
the
it is.
Reeve suit,
Yeah.
even the Reeve suit, like as normal and is like beyond like Nolan as it is. Like there's like straps that form the scallops. That's what
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he
I
is
miss
missing that aspect.
I
Yeah.
also I don't know. I think
Yeah.
there's certain parts like when people complain about trousers, no trousers. I'm like sometimes I dig the way it breaks up the suit. Like to me, his forearms there's too much gray, and then there's this
Yeah.
like little shot of purple. Whereas like I don't know, the black glove, it's kind of like the boot. It kind of separates things. I think it can. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's a little bit more intimidating seeing him kind of not armored up, but just having equipment. Like these just look like I don't know, leather purple gloves.
Yeah. I did love the use of blue in this suit. I do love that.
Wait, is that real blue or is that shading blue? What blue is
Oh,
it?
it looks real blue to
Is
me.
this hair
Yeah.
blue or is this just shading blue? I don't know what kind of blue this is.
Oh, that
I don't-
final shot, the cape inside the interior of it is blue, light blue.
Even in the beginning, like when he first visits the rabbi, it's blue,
Mhm.
right there. I always dig that's such a dumb argument to me because I just don't care. But I'm like, I creatively, as someone who likes to look at like comic books and appreciates like color, like I dig how they did that back in the day. They were like, oh, how do we
Yeah.
do this? We'll just put a little blue squiggle in his hair. It'll make it look like it pops.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it worked.
One thing that's funny for me too is like characters like James Bond, like they started in the 50s.
Mhm.
And there seems to be like, at least from a literary perspective, like they always go back to that. Like from like 1952 to 2006, like every Bond novel was like in the present. It was contemporary, and then they started to like, oh, let's do a thing to pay tribute to Ian Fleming. Let's do it in 1965, or let's do it, in 1940, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I don't like seeing that character be regressive and go back to those time periods. Like I'll read them, but like, it's not, I'd rather see that character keep going forward than be stuck in the 50s and 60s.
I like a
But
good
like-
mix,
But
personally.
like, but Batman, like, I don't care. Just give me Batman. Give it 1939 Batman, 1980s Batman, 2025 Batman, 2050 Batman, where he's in the future. Like, there's something about that character where I just don't, it doesn't bother me seeing him in any
Well-
era or time period. I just, it works.
That's what the animated series did so well. I mean, parts
Even
of Gotham.
Burton's first movie.
Yeah, it looks like parts of it look like they are in 1939. Parts of it
Mhm.
look like they're in 1999, and it's a great mix of both. So,
Unlike Batman Forever, where he clearly mentions a beeper.
Yes.
That's
20
who's not a
years from
beeper.
now.
Yeah.
Does Javi, when your son watches Batman Forever, does he ever ask you what a beeper is or was? Has that ever happened?
He has not. We watched that like 2 years ago, I think. I don't think he asked me
What
what
is
it
a
was.
beeper? What does that mean? Well, son, it's a cell phone that doesn't take calls. It's caller ID in your pocket.
Yeah, and you can't play games on it, and you can't take pictures with it.
No.
It's what homages did you guys pick up on and appreciate to past Batman stories? Was anything reminiscent to a specific comic or a scene from a movie?
I felt that there were numerous times, I don't have a specific example, but there was dialogue just pulled from a Batman movie and put in here. And I appreciated that. Like, I like that stuff. There was at least like 3 of them that I saw that I was like, okay, that was cool. I appreciate that. Thank you, Dan. I like that.
Well, they worked his red car in there, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool too. I like that.
Yeah. Which I'm still not sure how he lost it, but he lost it when he went to the prison at some point.
He just left it there, right? And just hobbled.
Well, then why didn't he
home?
take it with him when he took
I
Gordon's
don't-
instead?
It was closer. I don't remember. I need
Yeah.
to reread it.
I think
again.
he just stole a car and got out of there, to be really honest. I don't think he
Yeah.
knew it was Gordon's. I think he just took a car.
You're probably right.
Did you see the comparisons to like the Monster Men storylines from
Yes.
the past?
I thought it was very heavily referenced, like I totally thought the voices, I don't know what to call them, blister people or blister zombies. I don't know what to call those guys. They look like the Flood. That's what that's what we're gonna call them. They're the Flood from Halo.
There you go. That works perfectly. Yeah.
I was like, this is very Monster Men-ish. I was actually surprised that Doctor Strange did not pop up.
That was going to be my
wondering if
next
he-
question.
Yeah, I thought because they meant like at least in Blackgate or Ark, I forget which one it was, but like the opportunity was there. I could totally see him being there for any of those executions. In the first and second book. Very surprised he did not make an appearance.
They did have some character names from the case of the Chemical Syndicate in the newspaper headlines. I don't know
Lambert,
if you saw those. Yeah.
No, I appreciate references. Hey, you know how much I love when people put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he drew Bruce Wayne like I'm getting him confused with
Gregory
his grandson.
Peck.
Gregory Peck, thank you. I'm like Ethan Peck. I'm like, no, that's
Yeah.
Spock. Yeah, because that was in year 1. If you go to like the collected editions, like they have like Mazzucchelli's drawings, and like that was his reference was Gregory Peck for his Bruce Wayne. So I thought it was really cool. There were quite a few like, oh no, this looks like he just looked at a picture of Gregory Peck and drew a version of it.
So one other one, it wasn't an homage to a Batman thing, but another movie marquee they drove past in the first issue had a Frankenstein movie on it, which I thought was pretty appropriate for the story.
Yeah.
So
I felt like there was a couple, like there's something in like the radio calls. I was like, oh, okay, I pulled that. I was like, oh, that was interesting, But they did a good job with it, just balancing it out. Those were the things I probably enjoyed the most.
I mentioned in my review, the ending issue 2 with Bruce pulling out the gun reminded me a lot of the end of the first issue of Batman Year 2, where he's got to make that decision and goes to the gun that killed his parents. Having said that, I think we should probably move on to the ending, which caused a little bit of discussion in our Facebook group. Trey had texted me. Trey had texted me like, "Hey, did you read this issue yet?" Because we were both reviewing it. I'm like, "No, I haven't gotten to it yet." He's like, "Well, let me know what you think." And I was like, "Okay." And so I was kind of filled with dread. I'm like, "What's going to happen?" Like, how
I
bad
didn't mean
is
to
this
fill
gonna
you
be?
with dread.
Yeah, I'm like, am I not going to like it? Because it's like, what kind of Batman story are we trying to tell here? And is this a Batman who kills or uses a gun? Like, sometimes I don't know how to feel about that. Like, because in the context, like Batman did use a gun and kill people during that first year, and before he became the fully formed character that he is now. So when we get to the climax, and try not to spoil it too much, But be warned, we may talk about spoilers. At the end, Batman's fighting the villain, and the way that the story's told, there was some debate. Is this Batman a murderer? Is he more of a Christian Bale, I don't have to save you type? Or is he like this blemish-free knight, and the villain's demise was entirely accidental with, no fault to Batman? So Trey, where did you wind up on this debate, and how did you see the events unfold?
Well, when I was reading it for the first time, I got down to, I think it's page 45, that third issue. It's those panels, it's those vertical panels on the bottom. The villain is, going to stab Batman with the syringe, and Batman grabs his arm, and then Batman is talking to him about how he needs to pay for what he's done. And then the middle panel shows that Batman has gone from having his arm, having grabbed a hold of his arm, to he's, kind of flung his arm out to the side. And now the villain's hand and syringe are redirected back into his own chest. So I looked at that and I was like, I am pretty sure Batman had his arm and caused him to stab himself. Like, he redirected it so that he would stab himself on purpose. It didn't look like something that was just in, the heat of the battle, because I was like, well, this could be that they're just trying to show it's just something that happened in the struggle. But they could have shown that a lot of different ways. They could have shown like the villain kind of diving at him and kind of landing on it or something like that. Instead, Batman is telling him, like, throughout the fight, you need to pay for what you've done. He has kind of throughout the story gotten a little bit more intense. Like, he started using the brass knuckles, like, halfway through. And he was talking about, I think he was even talking to one of the Flood guys, that he was going to beat on his, like, punch him in the face until he didn't have a head anymore. He was just kind of talking trash at that point. He didn't actually do it. But I kept thinking about stuff like that. I'm like, are they really kind of leading up to where Batman means for this to happen? Because it kind of, to me, looks like he did. He grabs his arm, and then the next panel, you see his arm is moving in a totally different direction, and Batman is just kind of standing back, and it's like, you've got to pay for what you did. So to me, I looked at that and I was like, him stabbing himself was caused by Batman. And there's not enough there for me to think that Batman didn't do that intentionally. So that's where I landed with it. I understand why people read it a different way or see it differently, but it was that plus the dialogue leading up to that where I was like, I think they at least want you to consider that as a possible interpretation. And Gordon even says so. Gordon says, did you mean for this to happen? And before he gets an answer, Batman's gone. So that's kind of how I came to that conclusion, that I thought they at least wanted you to consider that a plausible interpretation, if not what actually happened, where Batman actually intended to make him stab himself. And we can talk more about, how does that compare to like other instances in the movies, like, the I don't have to save you, or pushing Harvey Dent off the ledge, in The Dark Knight. I do think this is pretty different than those, because it was just the two of them. That, he's not like trying to save an innocent bystander in this moment. So that's kind of where I landed with it, but I'm open to hearing where other people landed with it too.
I just kind of thought it was in the heat of the battle, and the way did Batman like fling his arm? Yeah, but I don't think he did it with the intent to kill him. I think it was more of a self-defense move. I mean, the page before that, he basically talks about how he's going to get the chair. So I think it'd be weird for Batman to be like, "Oh, I'm going to get you. You're going to get the chair," and then he kills him. Like, I don't feel like.
Well, but then he says, "You're not going to send me to my own chair." So, as is he maybe saying like maybe that's
Yeah.
not a reliable option?
Maybe. But I definitely don't think Batman killed the guy. I do think it's open for interpretation, but in my experience reading it, I thought that it just was he kind of killed himself.
And I'll admit, I could be looking way too closely at it and thinking way too much about it.
Because
It's
like
just that
if they showed him stabbing him with the needle, it's one thing. Like it's just I don't know. I just feel like he's just rolling around like
I don't
at
think
one
it's
point.
that. I don't think it's that overt. I just think that there's enough things to point it in that direction more than people who say, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all."
It's interesting to me trying to figure it out for myself, like what I think of it. Like we have like such a big deal made about the taking of life and the sanctity of life at the beginning of this issue. So that makes me feel like he involuntarily, may have caused it, and not direct. But it's weird to me that we get that panel and like Batman's right arm grabs his right arm, so he's coming across. But then the next panel's so narrow and close up on Batman's face that when we pull back again, Batman's right arm that grabbed the arm with the needle is so far away from where the guy is that it looks more like he grabbed him and then punched him with his left. But like the action just it isn't staged right to really make any sense.
Yeah.
And even
I'm
if
with
he
you on
did
that.
plunge him with it, like plunging him with it to kind of take it out of the way. I mean, he sticks him with the needle, but he doesn't hit the plunger. It's hitting the plunger that's the problem. And
Yeah.
that part is totally accidental in the way that he fell because I mean, this isn't Grant Morrison Bat God where he's thinking 10 steps ahead and has it all micro planned out. Like he's
Thank God.
this is year
Well,
this is year one for him. So, mistakes are made and he's not perfect and he's very fallible and can get injured as we saw in the last issue.
Well, I'm definitely with you, Javi, that at the beginning of that issue, he's talking about how he doesn't want to turn into that and doesn't even want to go there, which is why I thought it was strange that they even got it this far. Like I was expecting it to be like, oh, there's just no way to interpret that Batman wanted this at all. Like there's just no question that Batman would have wanted this guy to die. He would have gone out of his way to have him arrested and, brought to justice through, the proper channels. That was what I was expecting from the beginning of the issue. And it's just not the way they went with it.
Yeah, and we have, Batman in the airplane dropping bombs basically, but it's like the canisters of the cure.
Yeah.
Which, calls back to the Monster Men. So I kind of feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Did Batman kill in his first year? Did he not? Because like you said, Trey, like there's the whole thing of like Gordon asking if it was intentional and then Batman's gone, which Batman does that all the time. But as a reader, like we're not getting that answer. We're not getting the thought bubble of Batman thinking I would never do that,
Yeah.
So it's not quite the Killing Joke where the camera slowly pans down, the laughter stops, and it's like, well, did Batman choke the Joker or what happened? Is this the Killing Joke because he killed him at the end of it? Like it's not that obtuse because there is, we do see some of the action, but the action's not clear. So, I've looked at it nonstop and, I've talked about it with Bill and like, I'm not 100% sure what happened at the end of it. But
I think that's the best way to actually go about it is I don't really know what happened. This is what I think happened.
Yeah.
And
for me, I choose to believe that, Batman's not a killer.
I'm with you on that. Even though I love Keaton's Batman, I always end up and Affleck's too, by the way. I know Cardinal Sinner on here, but according to the internet. But I prefer my Batman a little bit more noble. I'd like to think he doesn't. And you brought up the Killing Joke, and that's a perfect example. Like I still think I know people say, no, it's definitive he kills him. Like I kind of like to think he doesn't.
No,
I
I think it's
mean-
very important to his character that he doesn't kill. I
Yeah.
think that really cheapens him if he's willing to, because
Yeah.
that's what started him, is death. He views death as the enemy that he will never stop fighting. So, yeah, I do think it's kind of cheap when he has killed in the past. And I was just reading this. I was like, why are you even getting close to this line, since you were kind of building him up to go definitively the other direction throughout the book? And
Finish up.
well, I mean, it's true that I could be, reading more into the panels than is actually there. But it's just so easy to me. It's just so easy to imagine like a different way to sketch it out, where the villain just lunges at him and falls on it on his own, or something pretty straightforward like that. But
Like, I was kind of almost expecting him to kind of become the Joker in a sense, like that was going to be like his vat of acid, and that was going to transform him, but it didn't happen. Or maybe like, is this going to be this version of Two-Face? Like something I was waiting for something to actually kind of come out of it, but it didn't. To go back to the Batman no killing thing, like for me personally, like there are very few things Batman wise that are better for me to see than like a moment between Batman and Robin where he's like, we don't kill, that's what separates us from them. Like, we don't do that. We save people. We don't kill people. Like, however you want to write it, and if you want to get more, artsy fartsy with it, please go ahead, but by all means. But like at the basic core element of like those few words, like that's, to me, there's nothing more Batman than that. Like this is what we do. We help people. We don't kill people. And that's kind of what I always envision out of a lot of these heroes, not just Batman, but the shining example of how we should be.
Well, even you brought up Keaton killing people, and if you follow that timeline, that trajectory, like that's a key moment in Batman Forever to me, is Bruce trying to talk to Dick about this is what happens if you were to kill Two-Face, this is what happens to you, how it eats at you, and don't do that. Like,
I thought Goldsman played it off really well.
It's so well done in Forever. It really is.
Like it was important to have that moment in that movie. And as campy as it gets and out there it gets with Jim Carrey, like that moment really stood out for me. It's like a good Batman moment of something that he would respond to. And
that's why I bought the action figure line.
You got all 5 or 4?
Yeah, I got the whole line. I got the whole line.
Nice.
There's no way I'm passing that up.
I just got Kilmer. That was all.
You couldn't. You didn't pull it on. I need the Robin figure was a necessity. They all were, but
yeah, I might get Robin. He
You're
does
gonna
look kind of cool.
Get rid of some of your figures you don't care about.
I had him when I was young. I don't know what happened to him. I'll be honest.
How's it? I can't afford this $25 action figure.
Right.
I've got 7 that cost $350 on my way.
Maybe just one, and I use my points, so he was cheaper.
I'm very happy they give you guys a point system, because they should give you something.
Totally off topic, but again, tangents are us here at BOF. Like I got my waitlist converted for the '89 Keaton, which I missed out on because I was waiting for my points from the Robert Pattinson figure to dump in. So they found one, and so now I've got them on layaway, and it took off like $50 using my points. So
there you go. It only costs $600.
No shipping, no tax. I'm very excited to get 89 Keaton. Yeah.
Enjoy.
But I think Jurgens is trying to create that doubt by having Gordon ask that question and then Batman disappearing. Not just paying homage to Batman stories where Batman does that to Gordon all the time, but to kind of have that moment, to have that discussion.
I think doubt and Batman go hand in hand. Like, I think Gordon should kind of doubt Batman at some points. He shouldn't really fully trust him, right? At least not yet this early on. I like it when people doubt Batman even exists within Gotham. Like, I kind of like that some people don't think he's real.
Yeah. Well, he brings it up in the first issue. Gordon does about, Bruce is like, it's probably one of your cops who's frustrated. He's like trying to throw him off his scent. Like, it's probably one of your cops that, is frustrated with the day to day and trying to go outside of the law because his hands are tied. And Gordon's like, oh, I would love it if it was one of my cops. Like I couldn't condone it officially, but half my guys are on the take. So if someone actually cared, like that would be awesome. So I think it's interesting how, Gordon's like for him, but then like when it comes to Bruce, he's trying to be a father figure, but he's kind of hands off. He's like, yeah, he seems like he's shallow, but I don't know. But he's like he's trying to guide him, but also like letting him find his own way and letting him be like that Playboy cad. It's an interesting dynamic, but again, Jurgens is kind of working in the framework of what Finger and Kane established. So we know Pete doesn't want an animated series or an animated adaptation, but Trey, how would you feel if they were to make a sequel series to this?
Like I said earlier, I would like to see more of I would like to see Alfred and maybe get a hint at some of the classic rogues out there and just see how they would translate into a world like this. I think that'd be kind of cool. It depends on which way they go. If they insist on no Alfred, no rogues, another story just like this, it may not, be as exciting to know that that's what they're doing. So it just depends on which way they want to go with it. But I would definitely pay attention and be interested.
Pete, was this enough for you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Dude,
good.
This book turned me. I don't even want to read that Batman Gotham by Gaslight, Kryptonian, whatever it is. Whatever that's called, the new Gotham by Gaslight book. I'm like, no. Like this, I've already had my fill. I'm done.
I mean, I'm mildly curious, but I mean, if Mignola was back, I think that would be a different story.
He's not.
Yeah. But I would like to see this continue. It feels kind of weird that it felt like they were just getting going. Sold well, didn't it? I think it did. But it felt like they were just ramping up to something. Like there should be more coming. And I guess, and it may be at the end of the day, it's just, read the original run of Detective Comics. But I would be there if they came back and did another one, because I had a lot of fun with it. I thought that the art was great. The coloring was just, it was so unique to this world and moody, and it popped in a way that like a lot of the regular Batman books I'm reading don't. So I would be all for seeing more of this, but it's up to DC.
Yeah.
If it makes enough money, I'm sure we'll be back. Cause I mean, how many White Knight spin-off series have we gotten? And
that's true. It's a valid point.
Yeah.
Batman 89 got a sequel, and that was not my favorite series. Oh, dude, we're still waiting for the third issue.
Yeah, I was just organizing my books, and I was like, I saw Echoes, and I was like, when did
Superman is once again done, and we're still waiting on Batman 89.
Well, I hope they're taking their time to get it right.
I hope so too, because if there's one thing I don't like, it's switching the artists for an issue to get the story done. So, but at least with White Knight, it's consistent, all three people, across the board for all three issues. So when you get it on your bookshelf, it's going to be this pristine looking thing that lasts forever. So
they can't take this away from us, Javi. They'll never take it away.
That's right. Well, Trey, we're going to close things out here. Where can people find you? Do you want to be found? Do you have anything to promote?
Not all the time, but yeah. You can find me. I write for BOF. I've got the reviews for this book there. I've got I did reviews for Riddler Year One, and then I have some op-eds from back in the day. So yeah, look them up. I'm over there, and then I hang around in the Facebook group, and if you pester me, I'll I'll interact with you as long as you're. Yeah, I'll be happy to correct any life mistakes like Pete's making right there. But yeah, you can find me there. I am on, what are we calling it? I still call it Twitter.
I still call it Twitter.
Yeah, you can find me there. It's Trey Jackson 619. So yeah, look me up, and long as you're cool and want to talk Batman, I'll be glad to do it.
He talks Halo too. Don't get it twisted.
Thank you.
I do talk Halo. Yes.
Thank you for reminding me about your Riddler Year One reviews, because I read the first one, the
That was
first
good.
issue, and then your review. But then I decided to trade weight it, and I finally read the hardcover like a month ago. So I need to go check your.
Did they give it
reviews
at
out.
least a good cover? I should buy that hardcover for my whole the Batman Saga collection.
It is. I think it's just the first issue.
It is.
I think it's the
yeah.
first issue cover,
Mm.
but it's got all the variants in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta
So
pick that up.
yeah. No, it's really nice, and yeah, it's a perfect. I literally finished reading it and watched the opening 15 minutes of the Batman, because just I couldn't stop. Yeah,
That'll
so good.
be a lot of fun to revisit on the road to part 2.
I love that Riddler. I love that
Yeah.
Riddler. Riddler's
Mhm.
great. I don't care what
I love Riddler. He's one of my favorites, and I'm so glad that he got that attention and that take. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I love the take. I was all about it. I was a big fan of the Zodiac take. I'll never understand the Kowalskis who complained about it. It makes no sense to me at all. But
Well,
pink
no one's
flat cap
gonna
is the way to go.
Yeah.
no one's gonna out carry Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
He was the perfect person to play that Frank Gorshin Riddler, but we've seen that. Just like we've had different Jokers. I like that we're getting a totally different Riddler that fits into today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think Dano is definitely willing to come back, so we may not have seen the last of him. And who
I
knows?
think we're gonna see more of him.
And who knows where his character can go from here? But he's off to a great start. He definitely did that.
So good. So good. He may show up in the Penguin.
Yeah, true.
Right? Who knows? I don't know. I've never seen it. I can only guess.
Yeah.
Oops.
Fingers crossed. Peter, what are the 10 podcasts that people can find you on?
You can find me socially at Pete Illustrated on Twitter. You can follow my podcast, Straight Outta Gotham, at straight_O_G. There's a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. Consider joining both. I have a Spider-Man podcast at Javi Protests, the Italian Spider-Man Coalition podcast. You can follow that at Spidey Coalition. Javi, notorious hater of Italian Spider-Man fans. And I'm all over BatmanOnFilm.com and Batman on Film YouTube. I review Detective Comics
Grudgingly.
Currently, grudgingly. waiting for the new run. But Javi digs it. I don't know. Do you dig it right now?
I dropped it, dude, months ago.
Okay, so you're just a big on Skittles Batman then. All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're half all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I'm all over the place.
Is his run coming to an end soon?
I think it's over by the end of the summer. I think come September we'll have a new team.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen anything about it.
I've never been more excited for the end of summer.
Well, we got Absolute Power coming this month, I think. So
hey, you know what? I'm curious. Let's see what they do.
It's Wade and Mora. How can you not pick that up, man?
Yeah.
They're gangbusters on World's Finest. So.
Yeah, but big events are very, very risky. But Wade is he's a pro, so we'll check it out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And as for myself, I am also on BatmanOnFilm.com. Shocking, I know. I'm reviewing Catwoman, Batman and Robin number 10. My review for that should be coming out the week of this recording. Yeah, that was an interesting book. Batman the Brave and the Bold. Obviously, we just wrapped up First Night. I'm sure I have some other book that I've got to review soon.
You could tell we get paid per review because Javi writes the most comic book reviews. So, Bill pays us very well.
Yes.
We're not supposed to talk about that, Pete.
Oh, sorry. Oh, spill the beans.
That's how I built Wade Manor East. Was my Batman on Film money. So
Javi's Hot Toys extension.
Exactly. That's my manor just for my Hot Toys. They have their own home. Bill and I just did a Batman animation talking about the Batman episode Traction, which was the first appearance of Bane on that show, which is 20 years old this month. So we're just having lots of Batman 85 fun and waiting for the Batman Part 2 to kick off and the Penguin to come and
Joker. Don't forget Joker.
And
right?
Joker too. Yeah. That's going to be good. least I think so. I hope so.
Hey, I hope we can make it past Deadpool and Wolverine. I really do. Because I think after that is Craven. I think Craven comes after that.
No. Craven got pushed back.
Oh, when is Craven coming out now?
December now, I think, unless they move it again.
That movie.
They pushed it back. It's Joker October 4th, and then Venom is the end of October, and then Craven for now is December. Because nothing says the holidays like Craven the Hunter.
Yeah, I hope it's better than Morbius.
Yeah. The classic Spider-Man story, Fearful Christmas. The Last Hunt of Craven.
Yeah,
oh God.
I guess you're right.
God help us. But yeah, so lots of Batman stuff on batman-on-film.com. And that's going to do it for this time. I will hand you back the keys to the Batmobile, Peter. Thank you for letting me take over this one time, and you'll probably never hear from me again. Well, maybe, if I'm good, Pete will have me on for when we discuss the Batman Cape Crusader, which comes out in 2 months, and we haven't even seen a trailer or heard who the voice cast is yet.
I don't care. Just drop the first episode and we watch, right? Like at this point,
I mean,
don't give me something to argue about. Just let me see the show, right?
It's coming. It's coming really fast.
That should be the new way they make movies. We don't even know about them. They just make them in secret, and then they drop a trailer, and we're like, all right, okay.
All right, let's go.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time out, and I had a good time. I hope you did too. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll have announcer Rachel take us out.
You've been listening to the original and official podcast of the Batman on Film website. Follow BOF on Threads at the Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/Batman on Film, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/The Real Batman on Film. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original. Batman on Film, founded in 1998.